Greetings, YouTubers. My name is Frederick Lopez. You're on a special segment of PCDC in which I talk about anything and everything politically correct about DC Comics, and movie review, in which I review a movie. Well, I'm eagerly awaiting the highly anticipated Batman the Killing Joke, and while I wait for that, I'm going to review some of my favorite Batman films. Now, earlier I reviewed Batman Year One, and today we're going to be reviewing Batman Under the Red Hood. Now, Under the Red Hood was partly based off the Death in the Family comic book arc from the late 80s, in which Jason Todd II Robin died at the hands of the Joker. And then it's also based on 2005's graphic novel of the same name, Batman Under the Red Hood. The film stars Bruce Greenwood as Batman Bruce Wayne, Jensen Ackles as Jason Todd and the Red Hood, John DiMaggio as the Joker, Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing, Jason Isaacs as Ra's al Ghul, Wade Williams as Black Mask, Gary Cole as Commissioner Gordon, Vincent Martella as younger Robin and Jason Todd, and then Jim Piddock as Alfred Pennyworth. It's directed by Brandon Vetti, who also directed episodes of Batman Brave and the Bold, co-directed Superman Doomsday, as well as some episodes of the animated show Max Steel. Now, Andrea Romano is the same voice director, and the voices are actually really good, but the standout, I would say, in this is Jensen Ackles as Jason Todd / the Red Hood. Wow, I wish they got him to play Jason Todd in real life. He conveys a certain sense of menace and just kind of like hurt that the character needs after all the wrongdoings of the past, and you really get to feel that sense of vengeance and just like bloodthirst of the character, the way Jensen Ackles performs and the way he delivers his voice work. Bruce Greenwood does a fantastic job as Batman. I was surprised because I love Kevin Conroy and I love Mark Hamill's Batman Joker, but Bruce Greenwood really surprised me. I couldn't tell it was the same guy who played Captain Pike in Star Trek or Ashley Judd's husband in Double Jeopardy. Like, he really went dark, and a lot more darker than I thought he would be able to go, but he did a pretty good job, and I wouldn't mind seeing him do more voice work as Batman. John DiMaggio, while he's no Mark Hamill, I do respect his performance because it was kind of taken a little bit from Heath Ledger's, and he kind of does make it his own, even though it's different from the other incarnations of the Joker. And it makes it like the usual Joker, him being psychotically funny, so I really like that. The other voice actors do a great job as well. The direction of the story, pretty much the story starts off, and it's kind of like the other two things it was based on, more so Death in the Family, except here Jason Todd didn't get to see his mother. Joker just beat him with a crowbar to death, and Batman, it starts off with a prologue, and Batman finds him and he's dead from an explosion. And that's where it begins, his greatest failure of the second Robin dying. And then it fast forwards, and then it kind of has a little bit of the Under the Red Hood storyline. You don't get to see the third Robin, Tim Drake, in this, but you do get to see the first Robin, Dick Grayson, who's played by Neil Patrick Harris, and he's now Nightwing. Him and Batman are on a mission, and they're fighting this creature called an Amazo as a weapon, and it turns out it was like Black Mass shipment. After they fight this shipment, they're intercepted by this hooded figure, this guy with a red mask, and they basically don't see him again. And throughout the film, you get to see this guy who calls himself the Red Hood, which is based on one of Joker's previous personas when he was younger, before he was a Joker, when Batman first met him, and his whole origin. But he basically is killing off all the mob. He wants to kill Black Mask, but the reason why he wants to kill off the mob is because he wants to control the crime in Gotham. He doesn't necessarily want to obliterate it, he just wants to control it so they wouldn't go to schoolyards or anywhere else where innocent people are. So even though his convictions are good, he is kind of a bad guy. He's basically Batman if he crossed that line. Batman, later on, is hunting down this Red Hood guy, and the Red Hood knows his identity, and he doesn't know why. Turns out, this is going to contain some spoilers, but basically, Ra's al Ghul orchestrated the Joker and attacking Robin, but he didn't think it would go that far to him dying. He wanted it as mainly a trap for the Batman, and more people got hurt than he bargained for. So he felt guilty, so you found out that early on, after his funeral, around the time of the funeral, they replaced the body, and he tried to resurrect him, and the Lazarus Pit made Jason Todd crazy, and he just went off. Bruce Greenwood also does a great job as Bruce Wayne Batman. You get to see him living with the greatest mistake of his life, and that's why it's so important to find out who the Red Hood is, and if it's Jason Todd, to confront him, because all this time he's been living with the greatest mistake of his life, and he has to fix that. That's his greatest failure, and he keeps the Robin suit in the Batcave to remind him of his greatest failure and what he must not never do again and must never let happen again. So there's just a lot of interesting things in there. Anyways, you find out that Jason Todd is alive and is in fact this Red Hood criminal. So Batman must have to come face to face with that, and then the Joker gets involved after Black Mask needs his help. He's like, this Red Hood's after me, the Bat's creating too many problems, I need someone like you to be crazy enough to take him on. And pretty much, he doesn't know what he's dealing with. So now the Joker's on the loose. Red Hood, who's now Jason Todd, has a vendetta against the Joker, and it's Joker, Red Hood, and Batman caught in this standoff in one climatic final battle, in which I won't go too much into detail, but yeah, it is one of the most powerful Batman stories, and this film surprised me when it first came out. I rank this up there with Dark Knight Returns adaptation and Batman Mask of the Phantasm. This is one of the better Batman stories and better Robin stories. Also the first time we get to have Jason Todd in a story. And sure, while it didn't go as in-depth as the graphic novel, I do respect it for doing something different and being entertaining on its own as an animated film, which is why I highly recommend this film. I highly, highly recommend Under the Red Hood. The animation is just spectacular. It has some CGI like Year One. It's very fluid. The colors are deep and just kind of like bronze color. It has an Art Deco vibe that the animated series have most definitely. Flashback scenes incorporated with younger Jason Todd are put in there well. They even have the same origin of him trying to steal the Batmobile tires like in the comics, so that's a nice touch. Just all around, everything's very entertaining. And it's only 75 minutes, and it feels like it's a much longer movie. It feels really epic and grand. It feels like you're watching a motion picture. And this is better than some of the motion pictures I must add. But yeah, it's a great movie. And really shows like the dichotomy between Batman and the Joker, and then like the Red Hood symbolizing what Batman could be if he decided to cross that line. So it's a very interesting dichotomy between all the characters in the film in this grand opera. So I give it a 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10, and an A+. But there's just so many twists and turns, and the ending is just so emotional and heartbreaking that you see Jason Todd's hurt and why he would become the Red Hood and enact vengeance upon like the mob and Joker. And he's like, even tells Bruce, it's like, you can't stop crime, you can only control it. But it's very interesting. Go check it out and read the graphic novel. It's really good too and goes more in depth in the movie, but they're both great on their own. But this is one of the best Batman incarnations, so I would highly recommend it. Also, go check out my other review of Batman Year One, and next week I'm going to be reviewing Batman the Killing Joke. Also, stay tuned for my review of the upcoming Suicide Squad, and then I'm going to review Batman the Dark Knight Returns. That's all for now. I give it a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, and an A+. This is Frederick Lopez. Enjoy. Go check out this movie.